Let's combat and fight back with maltracks. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classes. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maat.
A BB Fahodie, a BB to me. Peace to all of my thinkers, truth speakers, and truth seekers. Welcome to another Truth to Power Talk with your sister, Dr. Maat. Thank you for joining another powerful discussion. And tonight I have with me another powerful guest, but she is no stranger to the community. Now, sister, you know, yesterday when you and I talked, I said, I don't want to butcher your name. That people know Dr. Maat in this Baltimore lazy tongue. I typically butcher the name. So say it for the people, my sister, so I won't mispronounce your name.
No problem. No problem. Thank you, everyone. My name is Èzili.
Èzili.
Èzili Dantò.
Èzili Dantò. Èzili. Beautiful name. And you broke it down to me. You said I was actually named in honor of. Could you share the story with the listening audience, dear sister?
Absolutely. This is the name of the Divine Mother, the feminine principle, the warrior goddess. And that is the vibration that quickened the Haitians at a ceremony, a Vodoun ceremony on August 14th, 1791. And began the Haitian Revolution. She is the principle of Black excellence, Black love, the mother of all that is. And her name is Èzili Dantò.
Èzili Dantò. Thank you so much, my sister. Family, take a moment out to thumb up this video, family. Thumb up this video. Also share this video. Our beloved sister is going to be dropping a lot of powerful information tonight concerning Haiti, or Haiti. I'm sorry, Haiti. All right, Haiti. Yes, I started to pronouncing it like a Westerner, Haiti, you know, but it's Haiti. And so she's going to be dropping a lot of information tonight, family. So share this video. Sharing is caring. Also, if you're watching this broadcast on another channel, be sure to head on over to YouTube, type in Dr. Maat, hit the notification bell so that as soon as I go live, you will be notified. Also, family, if you've missed any of the Truth to Power talks that I've had, I've created a Truth to Power Talk playlist, and I've brought on all the greats, family. I've had conversations with Dr. Malefe Asante, Dr. Wade Nobles. I brought on Dr. Darity, Dr. Julianne. I brought on, oh my goodness, Professor James Small. He's been on several times. Dr. Kaba Kamene, he's been on. I'm sitting here thinking of Dr. Rick Kittles from African Ancestry and Dr. Gina Page. And so I brought on a lot of great folks, family. So be sure to go to the archives and check out those discussions. Also, family, join me back here each Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Read Book Club. We are reading The Cost of Being African American by Thomas Shapiro. And so join me back here every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, my beloved sister. So family, we humbly apologize. I know you were in the chat earlier around 7:30 anticipating this discussion, but our sister is an activist, first and foremost. She's an activist. She's not an activist. She's an activist. And so she's been since, you know, Haiti right now is in a crisis. They have a lot going on. I know that all of you saw on social media, it's been all over the news that the president was assassinated yesterday. And so our beloved sister, she's been pulled literally in a lot of directions. Okay. She's been. And so I just want to thank you personally for being here with us tonight, because when I called you yesterday, you know, you were like, look, you know, I said, can you do it today? You say, I've been pulled, you know, in so many different directions. I've been on this interview and that interview. And so, you know, I just want to let the family know that, you know, the same thing happened to her today. And so, again, she's an activist, not an activist. And so that is why we know we're getting started late. So my sister, let me pull up your lovely bio that you sent me. I looked through all of the email links. I said, my sister is serious. She is a serious sister, family. And so I have her bio in front of me. Èzili Dantò is a human rights and international law attorney, an award-winning playwright, performance poet, and cultural activist. She was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and raised in the United States. She is a Haiti scholar and runs the Èzili Network, the Free Haiti Movement, the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network, Zili Designs, and Zili de l'eau. I probably butchered all of that. Clean water, renewable power, and skills transfers for Haiti. She is
Are you there? My sister?
the African spiritual systems, and I, I was thinking about Vodoun, and Professor James Small did a lecture on Vodoun, so I've always been curious about that. But Vodoun spirituality and her expression of this through Vodoun jazz, Zazotry, performance productions. She was featured as a Haiti scholar and historian in the documentary 1804, The Hidden History of Haiti. In 2018, our beloved sister was honored at the Connecticut Women Hall of Fame for her lifetime of justice and cultural advocacy works. Again, my sister, I welcome you to the platform, family. I see you're in the building, Melanated Cafe. I see you're in the building. I saw you in the building earlier. So I'm not sure if you saw the message when I said, oh, I'm going to just reschedule the sister, but thank you so much. I see it says, blesses Empress Maat. Peace to the whole chat. I see George Montgomery, you're in the building. A beautiful mind, my sister. You're always here. I appreciate you, my sister. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sister Nia Muhammad, New Black World Order is in the building. Brother D Centavo is in the building. So appreciate you all. Sister Tamika, sincere to God, pure black, so fresh. All of you, thank you so much for joining. All right, my sister. So let's jump right into it. For those who don't know much about Haiti, I just want to start there because for me, and I shared with you that I'm an educator, so I like to assume that no one knows what we're talking about. So could you tell the people, where is Haiti located? Just a little bit of history of the island, where it's located, who were the original inhabitants, when and why did African people arrive on that island? So can we get into some of that history, beloved?
Honor and respect to everyone. And I apologize for, I've been juggling many different things since July 7th. At 1:15, when I was told that the Haiti's president was assassinated by professional hitmen from outside of Haiti. White people came in and assassinated him. So we've been doing a lot of things. I run the Free Haiti movement. I've been running it for 17 years now. So we're at a very important juncture. So thank you so very much for your patience, everyone. I'm going to ask for your patience some more because I have to juggle a few interviews as I do this too. So it's a time for us at the moment. Thank you, Dr. Maat, for your interview, for asking us to come in. I really do appreciate it. Haiti, the reason the name is Haiti, and as most of you probably know, pronunciations are very important. The European changed it to hate for a reason. He changed it to hate because the Mahafa started in the Western Hemisphere in Haiti. In 1503, the first boatload of Africans were brought to this landmass after Columbus the pedophile had began the Europeans' New World. And but before the Africans who would become Haitians, in the land of the Black Caracoles, in the land of Black people, but they they give you the story and tell you the only people that were there were the Tainos, and the Tainos are the descendants of the Mongolians.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
That's what they say. But we all know that Black people are original to planet Earth, and we were in the Atlantis before the Mongolians came down, and before the Swedish came down, and then before Columbus came. So in this land came a group, you know, the whole story of Columbus, right? So the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, their ship, they got stranded and they landed in Haiti. At that time, Haiti was ruled by 5 different chiefs. They would fight Columbus when they realized, obviously, we as African people, we are so original to the planet that the idea that we can own things like land and gold and all of that stuff is more valuable than human life was something very alien to indigenous people on the planet. But this Mundele, this is the name of that the King Congo Africans, which are part of our descendants, they were fighting slavery in Africa before they were brought to the Americas. For people who can't say Haiti, I'm going to say Haiti so you know what it is, but understand so that you can correct people when they say Haiti, you can say Haiti. All right. But for those who need a little time to understand, Haiti is made up of the amalgamated African tribes of the people that were already there, like the Black Caracals and the Guaninis and others, and people from West Africa and all the way down to the Congo. On August 14, 1791, after 300 years of brutal white settler and European enslavement, the Africans held a Vodoun ceremony. Vodoun means lifting up sacred energies, and they lifted up the vibrations of the universe, which is the elements of fire, the elements of water, earth, air, and so on.
So wait a minute, my dear sister. You said Voodoo is about the elements. It's not this witchcraft that we've been taught. It's this witchcraft. I mean, what you just said was powerful, and I just want people to understand that. You know, you said it's about the natural elements. You said air, water. Family, I just want you. I hope that you're listening to this, sister. Please continue, beloved.
Thank you. Yes. So it's about how you create, how you manifest. It's about it means to lift up sacred energies and the principles and the what they call règlement, which is the rituals are about helping those who come into the universe and get birth be connected to their DNA and the ancestors within them, and to remember. Remember means giving memberment to the ancestors. So I always say giving memberment. So Vodoun is about remembering the ancestors and understanding who you are and understanding the values of the ancestors. And I'll go very quickly to answer some of your questions. So there was a fight, as you guys know, the Mandele. Mandele in the Kinkongo language means the stranger. So the colonists were called the stranger by the Congolese and the people of Queen Nzinga, who fought the Portuguese. And so in Haiti, Queen Nzinga has her own peristyle. Peristyle means her own temple. And she is the vibration of Èzili Dantò. All warrior women are the vibrations of Èzili Dantò. She is the warrior mother. With the opposite, the male is Ogu. So you have Ogu and Dantò. They got together and created the land called Haiti. They named it after the original people who were slaughtered in genocide from 1492 when Columbus got there. Within 15 years, these Europeans had murdered more than 1 million people. And they were looking for gold. They are still looking for gold. Haiti means sacred highland. When the Africans got to Haiti, they recognized it. They recognized the territory from their own stories. And so Haitian would fight, just like U.S. blacks have been fighting, black folks have been fighting from day one since the enslavement started. But the difference between the other fights in Haiti is that we beat three of the most powerful world powers of their time to gain our independence. So 1492, Columbus got to Haiti. He slaughtered, raped, pedophile, did all kinds of things to the natives who welcomed him. Within those natives, there was a woman. She was a queen. Her brother, her husband actually was the chief, and then her brother was the chief of these territories. There were 5 different territories in Haiti. After they killed her brother, his name is Kaonabo, and then her husband, Big Hio, Kaonabo is her husband, Big Hio is her brother. She took up arms and fought the pedophiles, the bringers of doom, the Mundele. So Haiti is a land that's been fighting for freedom since 1492 to today, 2021. And the reason that they just murdered this puppet president is another scare tactic to essentially give a warning to the people that the European can come in and do whatever they want. I was born in Haiti. I was raised in the United States because the U.S. brings dictatorship and chaos. And my parents brought me to the belly of the beast. The first time I went back to Haiti, I went back as the lawyer for the first democratically elected president in Haiti, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. The Bush first and Bush II took him down twice and deported him back to Africa. And I've been out here fighting ever since. So I hope I answer the questions. The first group of blacks who were brought in as enslaved people came to Haiti after the genocide of I'm going to say Tainos, but you guys know that there were black folks in the Americas before Columbus. But in 1791, the Africans got together. They kept their spirituality, and they called on their own DNA. They quickened themselves, and they fought against the French, the Spanish, and the English. And they beat the greatest European general in the stories of the white man. So Haiti beat Napoleon. And because Haiti beat Napoleon, the United States became a superpower. Why is that? Because the 13 colonies were surrounded by, in New Orleans and the so-called New Orleans territory, the Louisiana territory, was owned by Napoleon, the French. Right? You guys know some basic history.
Teach though, teach, sister. I mean, one of our esteemed elders is in the building, Baba Olatunji Mwambu. He said this is extremely informative. Dr. Maata, Bibi Fahode, and Bibi Fahode to you, Baba. So that's one of the elders saying, teach, sister. Please keep on. So keep on.
So here you have 300 years of enslavement. And when I say enslavement, I'm talking about barbarism. They used to bury us alive and let ants eat our heads by just leaving the heads there. Their sports used to be to use their bayonets to cut out a baby out of the stomach of a Black woman and see which one died first. That was their sport. And they were breeding us like we were mares. So when on August 14, 1791, the Africans decided liberty or death, their call, this is the template I teach as the head of the Free Haiti movement, that the template to beat white supremacy. And I hope you guys, I never know when I'm going to have another chance because I've had 6 assassination attempts. I keep some of the bullet casings here to show myself. Okay. So you never know. So let me tell you what the proven formula for beating white supremacy is. It's in the Kinkongo language. I say it almost every time I go on an interview, especially with my beloved people. It's Ee Mabumba, Kanga Mundele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yo. It means this was the call at Bwakayima. We are going to kill the colonists. We are going to kill his Black collaborators and all his evil forces. That's just 3 things you need to remember.
And sister, you were getting ready to explain how after Haiti beat the French, how the U.S. became a superpower, because you said those territories were owned by Napoleon. So once they beat Napoleon, go ahead and expound on that, sister.
Thank you so much. And please, if I forget these things, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. There was the 13 states, the first colonies. Haiti's the second republic in the Western Hemisphere. The first one is the United States, which took its freedom from England in 1776, July 4th, right? We just did that little charade. So it's 1804. The African warriors in Haiti just beat 3 European powers in combat. They were barefoot. They had no money, no media, and no resources. Where did they get them? They took them from the people that brought them. So every time we took a fort, the cannons were ours, and they were reshaped to be used. Just remember, this is the only revolution that ever worked, everybody. And I'm only here for a few minutes. So I'm telling you the template. You have everything you need for revolution. Anything you sit on is a tool of war. Economic development is war. The European would never let you be developed economically. Only a few. Because only their few are economically developed. Because their civilization, so-called, is profit over people. So you have 7.58 billion people on the planet, and less than a fraction of 0.5% own 98% of the wealth. That's what they are.
Teach.
So there is the Louisiana Territory going from Dakota all the way through to New Orleans, owned by France. Napoleon in 1791. How did we beat Napoleon? Excuse me, the French. Well, we allied with the Spanish, who was on the other side of the island. The island of Haiti had two colonists. One side was Spanish, one side was French. So the European tribes were always fighting each other. And our very smart warriors divided and conquered. This is the thing people who are part of the Demon Rat Party don't understand. You have to divide and conquer, right? So they stay within one party. And I say all the time that the West is one evil with two faces.
Come on.
So, during the war, it was a 13-year war. We first aligned with the Spanish to beat the French. And then we fought the Spanish to get them out of the island. So when we won that war, the entire island of Haiti was freed. Do not let some DR mentally colonized person tell you that we invaded the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic did not exist when Haiti became free, because when we first fought, we got rid of the Spanish. There's a treaty called the Treaty of Basel, for those who don't know it, BASEL, where the Spanish gave that land back to the French, and then we beat the French. So after we beat the Spanish, first we beat the French, and then we beat the Spanish, and then England thought, oh my goodness, maybe we can take this over, the whole thing. So they brought 50,000 troops, and we beat 50,000 English troops. So then Napoleon said, oh, by that time, there was no monarchy because they had killed their king in France. And Napoleon said, I'm going to send my brother-in-law, and I'm going to send the best soldiers that just essentially conquered Europe, essentially, because they were all at war. So he sent an armada, the largest armada that ever came across the Atlantic Ocean. He sent 50,000, and then, there were 50,000 troops. He sent 20,000 to New Orleans. And then he sent 30,000 to go beat the barefoot Haitians. They thought that they could just destroy us because they had like extra new technology. They had this kind of wind up machine gun that was like the first sort of automatic machine gun that could just like take out, had so many shots. That was like, and so they just thought they were going to kill us. So much so that Leclerc, the general for Napoleon, brought his Napoleon's sister came because they were going to have party. They brought their dresses, they brought everything. And then they met a man, you all should know his name. We say he's the greatest hero to ever lived. His name is Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He is the epitome of the warrior father. His name, he has become the vibration of Ogu for Haïtien. He is our founding father, not Toussaint Louverture. And so when the Black generals looked out into the sea and they saw for as far as they could see ships, it had been 6 years since they had freed themselves. So there was a builder, his name is Christophe, Henri Christophe, in the north. He had started building these beautiful edifices. And remember, they were not allowed to eat certain foods. They were not allowed to have things. And so they had just gotten their little comforts. And this is the lesson of the Haitian Revolution. When they stood on that hill and they saw all of that coming at them, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Haiti's founding fathers, ordered to burn it all down. He said, if you are worried about, and he told his children, if you get captured, I will not come to ransom you. So this is very hard for Black people to understand. But in order to get your freedom from these vicious, ruthless Mundeles, soulless Mundeles, you have to put liberty before all. That means before comfort, before house, before children, before titles, before job, before money, before all. So they burnt the city down and they took to the mountains. And the Haitian Revolution is studied by almost every European war college, but it's not studied by Africans. They learned guerrilla warfare from the warriors, the descendants of my descendants, my ancestors. So they burnt down everything. And the African, whatever he does, it's never just literal. So when I'm teaching about the Haitian Revolution, I say you have to be one-pointed in whatever you want to manifest in order to manifest. So that means you must go inside and be one-pointed. You know, that all-seeing eye right there.
Yes, teach.
One-pointed. So that's the lesson of burning everything down and not being into anything but liberty, because you can always get those comforts once you've gotten Mandela out. But if they had decided to fight for their house, to keep a city, they would have lost. So that's how they won that war. And the final battle was at a place called Vertières, November 18th, 1791. The African warriors kicked Napoleon's butt all over the Caribbean. At a certain point during that war, Napoleon had intended to use the troops that he left in New Orleans to fight the 13 states and take them over. But when the Africans beat his first 30 troops, he took the other 20 and sent them to Haiti as reinforcement. And we beat them at Vertières. So what was left on November 18th? The most sadistic general they had, his name was Rochambeau. And Rochambeau, they always used the mulatto sons of France, right? The products of rape or products of the black woman and a white master who wanted to make property. And they would take the child who had promise, and it would send them to France to be educated and come back and become slave catchers and overseers. That was the role of the mulattoes or the half caste. But they called them the free blacks, right? And there were within that free blacks a few dark-skinned Africans. There were two generals in that armada. Their name is Pétion and Boyer. They were born in Haiti of a white man and a black woman. Part of the diaspora. This is a template because the diaspora in Haiti right now are the ones that are always bringing the white man back. So on that ship, there was a general named Alexander Pétion and a general named Boyer. They came to re-enslave the African for their fathers. Dessalines, at some point, when he was winning, he would make a pact with the mulatto sons of France. This is very important. Rochambeau, the sadistic last general remaining that the Africans were fighting at Vertières, he did something that the mulattoes are always very ashamed to say when they love their fathers. He had a ball. This is in the middle of the war. He had a ball, and then all their wives came to the ball to welcome this general, and he gave the wives a gift, and inside the gift,
heads.
Say it, sister.
No, go ahead. I'm over here locked in. Go ahead, sister. They gave him the heads.
Inside the was the heads of their husbands. So when Pétion and Boyer saw that, and they were the generals fighting, they were the mulatto generals fighting for France, they were like, oh my God. And that helped them unify with the black warriors. But they would always, in Haitian history, they would always betray us. And that's a lesson you all have to know.
Ashe.
And so, when we won that war, I have a next time, maybe, we'll do this again, and I'll show you the picture of Rochambeau kneeling at Dessalines' feet. Before that, they had taken the general who his name is Toussaint Louverture. He sort of was very Rada. Rada is, there are two big energies in Vodoun. One is Rada, one is Petwo. Rada is the more accommodationist energy. Sort of like, I'm going to convince these people that I'm human with my talent, with my achievements for them. So Toussaint Louverture said to Napoleon, I am the king of the blacks, you are the king of the whites. I'll use Haiti as a colony for you. It'll be a black ruled black ruled French colony. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to have to hold on one moment, people. I'm going to try to see if I can get out of this interview. One moment.
Yes, sir. Family, right now, take a moment out to share this show. My sister is dropping a lot of powerful information. As I stated at the beginning of this interview, she isn't an activist. She is an actual. I muted you, sister. We don't hear you. You're all muted out. But she's definitely an activist. And right now, family, she's getting a lot of calls to come on different interviews. As many of you may or may not know, the president of Haiti was assassinated yesterday. So she's been literally poured into a lot of different interviews. People on the ground, they're reaching out to her. I called her yesterday. She was pulled in so many different directions. And then I called her today. She was pulled in a lot of different directions. And that's why instead of starting at 8 o'clock, we started at 8:40. And so she was supposed to be off of this interview by now and on to the next interview. But she literally has a lot of people on the ground. And we do appreciate her being with us tonight. My sister?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm just trying to see if I can cancel this interview, but what if I can't? I'm going to do the same. I will continue with you and your audience. As I do this, this is supposed to be only 5 minutes. So I'm going to try to juggle.
I can understand.
What I'm doing here is this news group is out of Jamaica, and they only want to know about why the president was assassinated.
Let's do it. Link them into the interview. Let's do it.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Yes.
Okay, so how do I do this? Okay, so whew.
Is this a telephone interview?
I'm trying to figure it out right this minute. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Too many people is calling. Yes. I'm going to try to. How do I link them to your interview?
So my question is, first, is this a telephone interview?
No. They gave me a Zoom link, but I have. I have two. Stop. Okay, Mirtha, I'm coming. Stop it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to get these people.
This is what I'll do. I will put in our private chat the link to our interview and tell them to click on this link and join our interview so we can kill two birds with one stone, my sister.
Okay. So
I just
okay. You know what? I'm going to do theirs on the phone right now. I'll just launch. What's the best way to do theirs? What were you asking?
So what I just suggested is that you go to the private chat right here on StreamYard on your. I don't know if you're doing this on your computer, but go to our private chat and the link that I just posted in our private chat. Just send them that link and have them click on this link. They can join us this way.
Okay, let me see if I can get to them. All right. So what did I just do?
Peace to your Truth Ministries.
So everyone, just remember where I left off. We were talking about why the Louisiana Territory was sold off by Napoleon. He had lost all his troops. So because he had lost all his troops, Jefferson, who was trying to just buy Louisiana from France, was surprised when the emissary for Napoleon said, "Hey, you want the whole entire territory? And we'll sell it to you for $15 million."
Wow.
So for $15 million, the United States got, in whole or in part, 15 new states and doubled its size.
So that's why you said the United States became a a world power because of that Louisiana purchase.
That's right.
Wow.
That's
wow.
Right.
And you said they got it for the amount of $15 million.
$15 million, and the United States got 15 new states in whole or in part. And what does that mean? And so then you had all of this fighting between the Europeans. So it allowed America to become a big power.
When Haiti defeated the French. See, sister, that is the history that they don't teach. And I, you know what I tell folks, I don't expect them to teach it, right? This is the history that we should be teaching and that we should be passing down from generation to generation.
That's right. And what's very ironic is that at a certain point, the the French kept trying to come back to re-enslave Haiti, right? Because they never would, they would never admit defeat. And so that's what happened. Give me a second. I'm just gonna, okay. The host has asked you to start the video. Okay, start.
Okay, so I see what's happening now. So you'll be talking to the audience in Jamaica, explaining what happened to the president, and then you'll be giving us that too. Okay, I'm with it, sister.
Okay, can you hear me, brother?
I can.
Very good. I'm doing a few things at the same time. Thank you. Hello?
So this is like a dual interview, family. I appreciate your patience. I do appreciate your patience, because typically, sis, on Truth to Power Talk, it's but I see what's happening with you. You're pulled in a bunch of directions. Are the brothers on that side ready for to get into the discussion?
Yeah, let me just see. Hello?
Yes, babe. Yes, baby Rodriguez. You said technology.
Ambassador,
yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh my goodness. I think that's an intro. I had to mute it just now, family. I don't know. Is it music or something playing? Hold on.
In the aftermath of
Okay, there we go.
of the president, Jovenel Moise. Sitting with us is Ambassador Curtis Ward, the former Jamaican ambassador to the United Nations. And we've been joined by Èzili Dantò, the founder and director of Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network.
So I just muted our family. It seems like the other people are doing like an introduction. You know how I get on here. Peace and love, family. Welcome to you. So they're doing their little introduction. And so they're introducing her. So you're listening with me, family. This is raw right now. Hold on. Let me see what's going on.
So as your audience know, yesterday in the early morning of July 7th, professional hitmen from abroad, white men speaking Spanish and U.S. accented English. These are the reports. They went to two planes landed in Haiti. They went to the house in the middle of the night. Reports are they got there at 1 o'clock, and they said that there's videos. All of you can go to my Instagram. You can actually see the video of a caravan of mercenaries. You can see in the video, you can count five vans, heavily armed military professional mercenaries. When they got to the house of the president, the outside guards were all Haitians, and normally the inside guards are private military contractors. Suspiciously, the normal private contractors were not there on the inside, but the Haitians that were on the outside, when the hitmen got there, they said, "This is a DEA operation." And they said, "Don't shoot, drop your guns. This is the DEA." And the reason that's significant is because Jovenel Moise, before he was elected, was indicted for drug money laundering. And there are a lot of Haitians involved in drugs that are part of his government. And so so it's plausible that the guards could have thought that was a DEA, because the United States has a lot of secret indictments, and they use those secret indictments as leverage against the Haitian people by bringing in these criminals who will do what the United States want. What is the situation right now? The situation right now is very chaotic today, because there is this narrative going that the Haitian police cornered the professional hitmen yesterday, shot 7 of them, took in custody 6 of them. That this is their narrative right now. I want to tell you that a lot of Haitians don't believe that narrative whatsoever, because there was American mercenaries that came to Haiti back in 2018, and it was the U.S. Embassy who made sure they got out of jail and were never faced with any sorts of repercussions. So it's sort of suspicious to us Haitians, because in the last 2 months, the Haitian police have basically been saying they were overwhelmed by gang violence in Haiti. So imagine the narrative now. A police who couldn't do anything about ill-armed, starving street criminals can now take on professional hitmen with drones, grenades, and all of that. So we have some questions, but this is what's going on right now. And in terms of who's the leader now that the president was, I mean, he was killed very brutally. Tons and tons of shots. And in that process, they wounded his wife. And she was flown. She was reported at certain times yesterday as not alive, but she is alive. And she was flown to Miami. And the last I heard is she's in critical condition.
Also, I heard today that his 2 of his children were in the house as well.
There were, I am told there was one child in the house, but she hid. That but no guards were hurt. Not one Haitian police was shot. And it seems to me that only the wife probably was trying to help her husband.
Her husband, yeah.
So the New York Times was reporting today that there were between 40 and 50 people involved in this, Ambassador, and that many Colombian passports were shown on a table at a press conference today in Haiti. What does this mean? I mean, will the Haitian people accept any outside help to help, to sort out the situation in the country at the moment, Ambassador?
I think he was directing that question at you. He said, why isn't IAT seeking outside help, or is that someone else, beloved?
Miss Dantò?
Yeah, because
I was muted.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's someone else speaking. Okay, can you mute them so we can, I know they needed you for about 5 minutes.
Current police.
And I think the ambassador is speaking right now.
Or the capacity to do a proper investigation as to who these people are and who hired them. So I think without outside investigative help, we will not get to the bottom of this, and justice will not be done. There are serious issues with the institutions in Haiti, such as the judicial system and so on. So Haiti does need outside help. And I do believe the UN can provide international investigation that could be quite helpful to Haiti. But whoever is in charge of Haiti at the moment will have to invite outside help. Outside help just can't walk the country. And the current person in charge of the government today would have to invite outside help.
Well, Ms. Dantò, would the
So he's the ambassador. I think, family, that's what we're looking at, the IAT ambassador speaking.
the people suspected are said to be foreigners who came in to assassinate the president?
yeah, let me be very clear. I run the Free Haiti movement, and it is foreigners who just killed the de facto illegal president of Haiti. There is right now a power struggle between the oligarch. This has nothing to do with the people of Haiti. It is the oligarchy who has the money to hire professionals. So we ask on behalf of the Haitian people, because this is what we've been doing all day long, is talking to our grassroots on the ground. They don't believe any of this, well, as a matter of fact, everybody knows that Jovenel Moise was a controversial president put in essentially by the United States in what is called the CoreGroup, and then legitimized by the regional organizations like the OAS. The Haitians do not want any foreign interference. What they do want CARICOM to do is to find out who hired who hired them and who is most likely to benefit from the death here. Because the Haitian people have wanted Jovenel out, and they have peacefully protested. It is the foreigners who came in. So we're asking, as member states of CARICOM, we're asking as part of the United Nations, founding member of the United Nations, that these white mercenaries be identified, and that this cover-up of this current corrupt government be exposed. And we don't need any boots on the ground to do that. Let's be very, very clear. Okay? Now, right now, there is a power struggle. The interim prime minister under Jovenel Moise, his name is Claude Joseph. He was supposed to leave office yesterday. So who has an interest in getting rid of Jovenel? Jovenel was ruling by decree, which essentially the Haitian people say he did not have the year that he was taking. It was the international community, the United States, and the CoreGroup that was giving him an extra year, even though that he finished his term on February 7th, 2021. Even though at the same time, at the very beginning, when he was put in office, there are 10 to 12 million Haitians. He only got 500,000 votes. He was the most unpopular president. Millions of Haitians went into the streets. But yet, in the last 2 months, while Carol Call was running around talking to the very people who are killing us, while the United Nations was supporting Jovenel, Jovenel had taken street gangs and created a new form of Dantò Macoute, just like Duvalier. And he had federated those street gangs. So he thought he would not ever have a coup d'etat. But what happened last night was a coup d'etat.
Ambassador, Ms. Dantò has asked CARICOM to investigate to find out who was behind the assassination. Does CARICOM have the capacity to do that?
No. I don't know any CARICOM country that has the capacity to carry out an international investigation, because this is an investigation.
See, family, you're not going to get this on CNN or MSNBC, none of those news shows you all are watching. This is the real deal that's happening right now, family.
We only have about 30 seconds left.
Oh, she just muted us. Sis, you had to unmute us. You muted us.
So this is what the Haitian people want. We want CARICOM and the international community to recognize that it wasn't the peaceful Haitian people who took down this controversial, most hated president. This is a president who created a spying unit, an intelligence agency. I guess his intelligence agent by decree. He's been ruling by decree since January 2020. He made by decree pedophilia legal.
I have 15 seconds left.
All right, so this is what's happening. according to the Constitution, there should be a Supreme Court justice, but he fired the Supreme Court justices. But there is one that the Haitian people still like, and her name is Madame Koch. She could do a transitional government. The Haitian people want the system destroyed. They do not want the oligarchs that are running this to continue to have fake election. Biden just came out and said that even though there's been this thing that there should be legislative elections in September and elections for president. And so election is okay.
Out of time. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Back with our lifestyle and entertainment.
All right. So we knocked that out, and that was cool because we actually had an opportunity to hear from the ambassador and you and what happened. And so sister, I just muted you out because I think if you could cut off their little intro or their outro, but if you could like exit out of there, there, so we won't hear their stuff. But I really want you to finish elaborating on what type of president was assassinated yesterday, because you was getting ready to drop some powerful information. You talked about how he had a spying unit. He was legalizing pedophilia. And so you talked about you were getting ready to kind of get into that. And then they said, oh, sister, you only had 15 seconds. You only had 15 seconds. And then the interview was cut. And so I'm going to unmute you now, my sister. I don't know if you could expound on what you were getting ready to talk about.
Okay. I'm just trying to get them off of my place here. Thank you, Ambassador. I can see you. I don't know if you're still here, Ambassador Curtis Ward, but please connect with me and we can continue this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay. So my name is Èzili Dantò. Please connect with me because we do the grassroots in Haiti want to talk to CARICOM.
Wow.
My name is Èzili Dantò. Èzili Dantò, and I run the Free Haiti movement. I was the lawyer for Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Please connect with me. Yes, I was. So you can find me everywhere. If you go on my Instagram, you can see all this information. We're asking all Haitians to leave the Republic of Port-au-Prince, go home to the countryside, because we do not want to have to deal with this power struggle.
Oh, I had to mute that. That was loud.
I'm trying. I am trying so hard to quit these people. I don't know why I can't quit them.
You have to hit leave. I think on Zoom it's like something that says leave, or just hit an X. Just go to the top right corner and hit the X, and you get out the app like that.
And how do you ensure?
Yeah, I still hear the commercial going on.
First step is perhaps
Well, just give me a head nod when I can unmute you so we won't keep hearing the. Okay. Yeah, just give me a head nod. Seems like she's trying to exit. She's like, okay, I got it. Look at her. All right, sister.
I beg your pardon, everybody.
All right. No. I want
lies, but this is just how it's been all my whole day. Been like this.
No, look, we appreciate being able to listen to this. As Brother Sean said, he said this was some behind the scenes stuff for real. We were listening. He said this is behind the scenes for real. But you were ready to get into some stuff. You started talking about his presidency and what type of president he was. You said that he was legalizing pedophilia and he had a spying unit. So if you could expound on that, some of the things that the people of Haiti experienced under his.
Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for allowing me to do that. So that was a Jamaican radio station, and they had so in the Caribbean, there are 15 states, you guys. And they're like little island states, right? Haiti's like 60% of the population of CARICOM. CARICOM is the regional organization that oversees supposedly the Caribbean nations, but really most of their votes are bought by the United States.
Wow.
Okay, so they always come at us talking about, oh, we want to come in and have a dialogue. I'm like, and they always like, we don't want Haitian violence. I wanted to make the point that it wasn't Haitians that killed this guy.
Come on.
It was white mercenaries. I wanted to make the point that we have the billionaires of the Caribbean, but you will never hear about it in mainstream media because they give you the colonial narrative. I do the non-colonial narrative, people. Okay. And the United States use immigration. You guys know this. They do it in America to put a wedge within the local population. So they have these Middle Eastern oligarchs, billionaires. They're the ones that do coup d'etats. They're the ones that have the money to buy the guns that's given to the gangs to kill the people, to stop the protests against this de facto president who wasn't elected by Haitians, but was put on by something called the CoreGroup of internationals. They call themselves the Friends of Haiti. So, Jovenel Moise came to us through a guy named Michel Martelly, and he came to us as a gift of Obamba. I call Obama Obamba.
You better teach. You better teach, sister. I know where you're going with it.
Okay, so remember I was telling you guys that just to like connect it back to where we were, the Louisiana territory, we sold it. Make sure I come back to these points, sister. Okay. So 15 new states, and all of a sudden the 13 American colonies was doubled by 15 new because of what the Africans did in Haiti.
Teach.
All right. But the European is the most violent predator on the planet. And what he did was he can never forgive my people for beating his butt all over the Caribbean and putting a final period to the word supremacy, because we beat biological supremacy, his greatest armies, France, England, and Spain. And so what did he do? He had his mulatto sons of France. When Dessalines won and beat the French, he had a pact with the black generals who had come to enslave us, Pétion and Boyer. They are the ones that killed Haiti's founding father, the mulatto sons of France. Within 2 years, they stabbed him in the back and killed him and chopped him up, just like, the story of, ISIS and so on, chopped him up so that he wouldn't rise again, because there was this reputation of Ogu, right? The vibration of the ancestors. But so the first two presidents of Haiti's beginning were those mulatto sons of France, and they hated the black masses, and they agreed to pay reparation to the slave owners that we just beat. So if you're wondering why they call Haiti poor, it's because they essentially created financial colonialism in Haiti. Every method of destruction of black liberty, they created in Haiti first. So how did they do this? Remember, Haiti is like smaller than Rhode Island. The French negotiated with their mulattoes for Haiti to pay a reparation to those who had lost my grands as property. So while Jefferson paid 15 million for this territory that didn't even belong to the French, okay? There were indigenous people there, you all know, okay? They made Haiti pay 10 times that amount as reparation to the French who lost us as property. So for 122 years, we literally had to go back to sharecropping because that's what they wanted. Every harvest went to France for 122 years. And they kept putting interest in that money. And in 1915, when the United States had gotten enough power in the world to delusionally called himself Manifest Destiny and Monroe Doctrine, they wanted to get the European out of the Caribbean. So they had wars, and they came to Haiti in 1915, doing the their first World War, their first European World War in modern time. And they literally almost enslaved us again. And they stayed for 19 years. And it was in that time that they renegotiated the independence debt. So now we were no longer paying money to France because they paid it off, right? We had paid the independence debts from like 1822 to 1915. Okay, almost 100 years we had paid, right? And because of the Monroe Doctrine, the United States came into Haiti, and we lost the Dominican Republic as a property because the Spanish were always trying to come back on the other on one part of the island, and the French was always trying to come back on another part of the island, right? Because these Europeans can't understand defeat. Okay, and then of course they use their ridiculous turn the other cheek religion on ridiculous stupid black people, but they never turn the other cheek for nothing. Never forgive, none of that.
Teach.
So there was an earthquake in 1842 in Haiti. They took that opportunity to declare, like they just did with in Venezuela. In Venezuela, the president there, his name is Maduro, and during the Trump administration, they declared some non-entity, his name is Guaido, as just the president of, like, he wasn't elected. They just declared him president. Well, that's what the European did to Haiti in 1822. We had an earthquake. And during that time, just like the 2010 earthquake, a lot of things fell down and there was a lot of chaos. They used that time to bring back the Spanish. That's why Dominican Republic exists today.
Because I was wondering, I know they're on the same island, but like you said, you had the DR right here and our AD right here. And I'm like, well, why? They're right there on the same island. But like you said,
So the French came back, and those Negroes believe they're not Haitian. They don't believe they're black. They say they're the descent. If they're a little dark, they'll say I'm a descendant of the Indians who were here first.
Self-hate.
Okay, and they use their border to contain the black liberation. After our independence, we didn't just win our independence for ourselves. Dessalines, our founding father, was a great philosopher, intellectual, warrior philosopher. He said, of course, we sent the black generals to free Latin America. So Haiti freed 5 Latin American countries. We freed Venezuela. We freed Colombia. Freed all those, Ecuador. That means we stopped slavery there. So imagine, why would we not free the other island that was the other part that was right there? So,
right.
So because of that, we were a big threat. And we're still a big threat to them. And I'll tell you why. That's why they have to have their colonial narrative. Haiti's strategic position is a linchpin. If you guys want to look at the map right now, you'll see that we are between Cuba and Venezuela. Okay, so let's say this Haiti is in the middle right here. Beneath us is Venezuela. Next to us, right here, is Cuba. The United States in 2004, which is our bicentennial. Remember, I told you we won our independence and became a nation in
Yes.
January 1st, 1804. Well, they said that they had to control Haiti because we were growing too much in population. They said by 2019, if they didn't intervene in 2014, there would be 20 million Haitians. And that, they said, was a bomb waiting to happen. So for the last 17 years, we've been occupied, not directly, because they learned from their first mistake, the first occupation in 1915. They sent Southern boys who literally enslaved Haitians. And because Haitians would not fought back and would not work for them, they transported those Haitians to the Dominican Republic to work in plantations. And that's why you see these Haitians at these sugar plantations even today. But they couldn't get it done in Haiti. So it wasn't until 1947 that the Haitian people finished paying off that independence debt. So it took us 122 years. And the last payment was made to the biggest superpower on planet Earth, the United States of America. Okay? And we paid and paid and paid and paid. New Orleans would not exist. And American culture would not exist without Haiti. Because remember, the same brothers and sisters that were in Haiti had family in New Orleans because it was owned by the French. Right? You guys following?
We're following you, my sister.
So when we had to pay that independence debt, a lot of that money went to New Orleans families who had left Haiti because of the revolution. There is a college in America named Philip Girard. He stole much stuff from Haiti. He was the richest man in the United States in that time. And the way he was rich is because Toussaint Louverture, our founding father, gave him gold because he was pretty naive. He was a captain of a ship. He gave him gold to go buy arms while we were fighting. Well, Philippe Girard took that gold, never came back to Haiti, and he was the richest man in America. And so not only did we inadvertently help America become a superpower because of the 15 new states, Philippe Girard, remember, at that time, it wasn't just the French that were in territory that's now called the United States. Florida was a Spanish territory, St. Augustine. Remember?
Yes, teach.
All right. So and Mexico was right there. And they had California. Philip Girard, the United States government was literally bankrupt because there was an 1812 war. He financed the United States with gold that he stole from Haiti for the Spanish-American War that gave you guys California and Florida.
Truth Ministries, I'm feeling you right now. He said, damn, they stole everything. Shaking my head. Golly, Truth Ministries.
But I'm here, and my name is Èzili Dantò, and I was born to free Haiti.
Teach.
What else? Where should I go? Where should I go?
Well, we were leading up to how the president became the president. You said he was a gift. You were giving us. You were leading up to the when Obama put him. I guess Obama put him in office. Is that what you were saying, my sister?
All right. Okay. So you guys got enough of history. Okay. Let me tell you that I do teach-ins for the Free Haiti movement, and you can find some of those online. I talk about Vodoun. You can see the Èzili Dantò page. Most of my work online, you'll see on my pages. They're in the photos, okay? Because the other is like the thread. So other people, will write. It's just a forum for
Well, I have the email that you sent me. So underneath the description of this video, I'll put different links so that people can find you.
Okay, very good.
So that's good. But please continue with, you were going through the history to get to the point where Obama put this president or this puppet in office. That's where we were heading.
Yes. So we got our independence 1804. 200 years later, the European came back. And they did it because they didn't want Haiti to celebrate its bicentennial. Because in 2004, we had a duly elected president, not a puppet president like this guy they just murdered. Okay. And I represented that president. And that was the first time I went back to Haiti. But Haiti is so important to America. Why? Do you guys know why Cuba and Venezuela have not had a coup d'etat? Anybody can tell me?
I don't know. I'll just say for the record that I don't know. I'm looking in the chat.
All right.
I'm looking in the chat. Go ahead.
They're supported by Russia.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia is in the waters of Cuba, and Russia is in the waters of Venezuela. And right here is Haiti. If Haiti falls, the balance of power for the European falls. Everybody, if you have a question with that, put it in the chat and I'll answer it. Do you understand what I just said? The reason they demean us and make as if we're nothing is because of how important we are. Imagine the first people to destroy the concept of white supremacy and beat their greatest armies. And then we have a culture and we have our own spirituality. It has nothing to do with the Jesuits and the Catholics. It's about our ancestors. But they want to tell you that we're nothing. But let me tell you what they did in 2004. The United States built its largest embassy in the Western Hemisphere in tiny Haiti. It is the fourth largest U.S. embassy in the world. You will not get this from the mainstream media. When I say the fourth largest embassy in the world in tiny Haiti, who do you think the other three is? There are people that nations that the United States has humongous interest in, right? So we used to be the fifth because they had a big green space in Afghanistan. So China, Germany, Afghanistan, and Haiti. They've got over 1,000 hitmen or whatever you call them, diplomats in that space. And you mean to tell me that last night, July 7th, I'm sorry, I've been up for so long, it's last night to me, but it might be a day, July 7th, that the United States, who I know when I was in IT, they used to follow everything I did. Okay. They had something called whisper mics. So whatever you were talking about, right? They had these mics that picks up their word, your conversation. That was back in 1994. Imagine what they have now. They got satellites over IT. You're going to tell me 2 planes are going to come down with mercenaries and the U.S. didn't know nothing about it?
Oh, they knew. They were involved.
2 planes and 9 cars in the middle of the night are going to creep up to the resident of their puppet, the one that they protect, the one that they said had an extra year to go, and they didn't know nothing about it. And now they're doing this charade of talking about how the Haitian police has killed 7 of them. Really? I say all this to say they built that embassy and it is a military base for them. And many of us suspect that most of its body is underground. And if you study earthquake, you will see that if you dig deep enough, you can hit a tectonic plate and cause an earthquake. And you guys remember, the United States came in because they felt that we weren't dying enough. They had sent the UN. And I always say this, and I'm going to say it now again, because we know that our words are never, ever return to void when we're connected to our own spirit, and the UN will fall. My name is Èzili Dantò, and I say so. It will go the way of the League of Nations. You know why? Because the UN is an instrument of colonial power. The World War II powers, you guys know who they are? 5 of them. They were the 5 allies who fought against Germany and Hitler and Italy's Mussolini, right? Remember these 5 powers, right? They are the new Columbuses, right? France, Spain, England, France, Spain, England, the United States, Russia, and China. They have veto power over all the nations in the world. You want me to say that again? Then they want to tell me, the descendant of the inventors of human rights, but we are the inventors of human rights in this so-called new world. Now, I'm just only talking about when Mandela got here. Obviously, we are people who've been on this planet. We are multiverse cosmic people, but just in their ridiculous time span. New world. IT invented you. Why do I say we invented human rights? Because in America, they said we were 2/5 human. And America was made of enslavers. IT was created with people who freed themselves. So we're the very exact opposite of what they are.
Polar opposites.
Yep. We put liberty into application. They put liberty into a paper, but meant only propertied white men.
So, sister, we were going into, and one of the brothers, brother Donnie Williams, he said, don't forget Dr. Maat. She asked you not to let her forget her point. So you were moving into the election of the puppet and how Barack had put him in office.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So they came back in 2004. Their whole intention was to depopulate Haiti. So they brought the UN. Like I said, the UN, there's 194 nations in supposedly the world or that are in the UN. And 5 of them, if they don't like something, all they have to do one of them has to say no, and it doesn't go. Okay, so and they want to talk to us about democracy. And what they normally do is they buy the votes of the other nations and pressure them so that it could look like they're voting diversity. But they've already leveraged and bought their votes, right? Okay. So in 2010, okay, so Obama was elected in 2008.
Uh-huh.
By that time, the UN had been in Haiti since 2004. They brought them in as our occupiers. They took out the democratically elected president, deported him to the Central Republic of Africa, and they started to kill Haitians like we were insects. People who had dreads, just being African, because the United States, obviously you all know, is an anti-African culture.
Come
US
on, teach.
culture is anti-African. So they had dreads, they put them in a box and threw them into the sea and drowned them. 2004. The UN raped so many Haitian children that in 2 years ago, when the UN finally left Haiti, and this is because we worked really, really hard and we worked alone. They had left behind more than 10,000 minister, we call them, UN babies. They created brothels and they exercise their preference, which is sodomizing young boys. This is what the Catholic Church is about. This is what the Eurasian mindset is about.
Teach, that's a fact.
So a lot of my work in the last 10 to 17 years has been taking charity workers to trial for sodomizing Haitian boys. I was one of the first lawyers who used an American tourist statute because every time I would get a white person in jail in Haiti, he would give $1,000, $10,000 to the guards or to the people and be out. So the first case that we ever won, I'm a New York and a Connecticut lawyer. I was in Connecticut, and it was a tourist statute. The guy, you guys can look him up. His name is Douglas Perlitz. And the statute is the U.S. has this statute that said you can't go overseas to have sex with a minor. And we used that and put him in jail for almost 20 years. Okay. So that was, and if you look up my website, myname.com, and you put weaponized charity, you could see the transcript when I addressed the court to ask them at the sentencing to give him the maximum amount of time, because this guy had for 10 years been sodomizing these orphan boys and street boys. And in exchange for giving them blankets and a little bit of food and that ridiculous Jesuit education that is useless to Africans, he expected them to provide sexual acts. And they do this all over the global South, whether it's the Philippines, everywhere. But when they came to Haiti, and a lot of our own people would allow it to happen, even people who call themselves activists. And so I've had to fight Black collaborators, the Middle Eastern oligarchs, who are the overseers, and the colonists. They hate my name. They call me that woman. So in 2008, the Manchurian candidate with a CIA mother, Obama, became president. His political rival in the Demon Rat Party was the Clintons.
Oh, hold up. What did you call them, sis? I just want to make sure they're not, you call them the demon rats, not the Democrats, the demon what, sis? I'm sorry.
Political rival in the
Mhm.
demon rat party was the white liberals, who actually Malcolm X said they think they run the Black Revolution. When I got to Haiti, it was white liberals who you would always see at CNN talking about Haiti. These types of interviews, it took me years before they would call Èzili Dantò, because they would normally call a white person. And it would be those white liberals that you all know who they are. But in Haiti, when these white liberals came in, they were like, I've come to give you charity. I've come to do, what they were doing is the reservation dance, because when you make a human being dependent, you take away their agency.
That's right. That's right. Teach.
Okay. You all know it. That's why they give you those EBT cards and all that other crap. Because you are born to be self-sufficient. And you can manifest. So Obama wanted to get his political rivals out of his face. So the first thing that happened was Mrs. Clinton was his Secretary of State. Mr. Clinton became the UN envoy to Haiti. And the two of them came in and fleeced us and left behind their LGBTQ agenda. The guy who's president right now and the political party that runs Haiti right now, you all want to know what they call themselves?
What do they call themselves, Queen?
The Men in Pink.
Baba Olatunji, we're going to be on here tomorrow talking about the LBG, the African Senate response to the LBGTQIA. You hear this, Baba? I know Baba hears it.
The Men in Pink.
The Men in Pink.
All right? They're the ones who are running Haiti right now. Remember, this is Ogu's land.
And they're running around calling themselves the Men in Pink.
Okay? And what else have they done? What have they left us? Okay. So the Clintons, obviously you all know the violence these people have done to Black people.
Yeah, and you know what's sad, sister? You have Black people in America calling Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, oh, Bill Clinton was the real first Black president, ran out and voted for him, sister. It's sad. Black people over here in America, a lot of Black folks, they love, well, I don't got to tell you because you're here. They love Bill. They love the Clintons. So much so that when Hillary was running against Trump, they ran out there. They voted for her again. Even despite all of the madness that the Clintons, all of the hell that the Clintons brought to Black America, Black folks still went out and voted for him. And Barack Obama's another one. Black folks love, you can't say anything bad about Barack Obama. Black people love him. They call him, even though he's a mulatto, they call him the first Black president. People have pictures of him on the wall. I'm telling you, like he was like a Jesus Christ, like a Christ figure. I mean,
it's very sad, the state of our people's mind. I mean, how far they are from liberation, right? They, you know, the media, remember with regards to Kanga Mandela, the template. So the word kill means more than just physically stuffing out the life force of someone, right? You can kill somebody by marginalizing them. You can kill somebody by segregating yourself from them and just like, you know, go live in Eurasia, you know, go do your thing, you know, but stay out of my space. So part of Kanga Mandela was that you in order to win this war against these profit over people value, these people that put profit over not only human beings but the whole ecology, the whole earth, and that's where they're going. They're going to destroy the whole earth, and then they're going to try to go to the other planets to live, right? And then they'll do the same thing all over again because somebody called them a virus. I call them vampire. But essentially, Mandela, Neely Fuller said that there are 9 levels of human activity. So when we say Kunga Najoki, which is their evil forces, it's sort of parallel to what Neely Fuller, okay? But our ancestors at Bwakaima on August 14th said Kunga Najoki, which means that at that point in time, it was we have to stop their military, their technology, their religion, their media, their way of using sex, their as a tool of law, of destruction, law, media,
media, education,
exactly, right, and their religion. Okay,
and I love how you keep driving home religion. Because you can't tell, in the Black America, honey, you can't talk about Barack, you can't talk about pork, and you can't talk about Jesus Christ. So I'm you said religion. You mean to tell me, sister, that our ancestors during the Haitian Revolution, when we were in Africa, it wasn't Jesus Christ that we were praying to, my sister? Is that what you're telling me?
I'll be more specific.
Please do.
All the Abrahamic religions.
Come on, teach.
Murderous male cults that are afraid of the woman.
Come on, sister. You better teach. You better teach. We always say patriarchal.
I mean, just look at their rituals.
We call them patriarchal homosexual cults. Patriarchal homosexual cults.
That's what it is.
That's what they are.
That's what they are. Okay, and they brainwash our young boys. They take Èzili Dantò's Veve. So Èzili Dantò is not a person. It's a vibration. You lift up a particular vibration if you're feminine, right? See, I've never wanted to be a feminist, right? I like being a woman. So there is an energy to being a woman.
Come on.
That goes beyond just the fact that you reproduce. There's a vibration. And so Dantò and Ogu come together to make 3. This is our Trinity. This is where the Abrahamic religion found their Trinity. So our Trinity, mother, father, child. Their Trinity. I'm gonna mess it up. So sorry. I think there's a Holy Ghost somewhere.
They replaced the woman. They replaced the woman with the ghost. They replaced the woman with the ghost.
I know it's 3 males.
They replaced the woman with the ghost.
Okay, I know it's 3 males. Okay, that's all I know. I'm sorry, I don't know. All right, I think it's I don't know, Jesus, God, and
the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They replaced the woman with a ghost.
All right, so
she got replaced with a ghost.
Okay. There was a point in time when Africans understood and were connected to the cosmos. And they understood that they used to speak mind to mind, so they didn't have language. Like my father used to say all the time that it's language that divides us, right? Because they used to be able to speak mind to mind. But once you start speaking all these different languages, there's all kinds of different meanings to them. But in that time, in the time before time, the hieroglyphic for bringing up the vibration of the feminine is a heart. So, and because the mother, the warrior mother, all is hers, every child is hers. So in order for her to discipline, there is a, I wish, I'm gonna anyways, you guys can just, if you put my name down, you see a heart with a dagger in it. That is the sign of Èzili Dantò. Essentially what that means is that because she's love, when she has to discipline, she pulls the heart out of her heart to discipline, but she's bleeding because it hurts her to hurt her own. But she does it. We are not enablers. So that's the VEVE for Dantò. I'm not exactly sure why I went there, but I was talking about Obama. And I said that Obama in 2010, he was the president who presided over the apocalyptic earthquake that happened on January 12th, 2010.
You said it was Obama that did. I just want to make sure I heard you.
I said it was Obama.
Obama, okay.
Right? And the reason I say Obama is because the man was so repugnant. I'm a lawyer. He's supposed to be a constitutional lawyer. But the stuff that he did went unscrutinized. You guys want to know a few of them? He signed into act a law that said he can hold you indefinitely without ever revealing where you're being held or without even a trial. That was Obama. If Trump had done that, the whole world would have jumped up and down. So in this act, all they have to do is say you are a terrorist. And he extended it. This thing is not something that he started by himself. He had started under the father and son, Bush, and those vampires. And so Obama extended it so that it could apply. Before, it only applied to foreign nationals. He extended it so it applied to an American citizen. So under Obama, for the first time in American history, if they declare me enemy of the state, they can put me in jail without a lawyer, without a telephone call, indefinitely. And this guy is a constitutional lawyer. Under Obama, they deported more people than any other president that ever lived in America, ever. And they were talking about Trump. I just laughed. Under Obama, he had a kill list. Just look it up. It was a kill list. So if he said this person should be killed, he didn't have to prove anything. And that person was killed. Obama had a kill list. I won't tell you all the other crap, like Obama, gave a bailout to the banks and left Main Street. He gave
then killed more Gaddafi and
and him Hillary Clinton left slave markets in Libya. Okay, but this is what they did to Haiti. When they came to Haiti, the suspicious earthquake killed 33 in 33 seconds. It killed 310,000 people. It made homeless 2 million people. And guess what they said? Yesterday, when the president, this de facto president, who became a dictator because he was running the country by decree. He had dissolved the parliament, the legislature. He was running by decree. And the people of Haiti have been saying he needs to go since he was in there, right? These are homosexual. He's married. But the guy before him.
The guy before the president that was murdered yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, the guy before him.
Sweet Mickey. Sweet Mickey.
Sweet Mickey.
Okay. And Sweet Mickey put him in power. And Sweet Mickey, there's a law in Haiti because the United States had kept dictatorship in Haiti for like 30 years, from 1957 to 1986. They had Duvalier, father and son. And when Haiti had a democratically elected president, when they got rid of this dictatorship, they put in the Constitution, in order to not have dictatorships, that if you're running for president, you can never have 2 consecutive terms. So Sweet Mickey chose his successor, and that successor was supposed to hold the space for him because he was nobody. Nobody knew Jovenel Moise, who was just murdered. Nobody knew him until he put his candidacy until 2015. Nobody really knew. He did not have a national reputation, right? They created him. He's a consultant created politician.
And sis, we have 10 more minutes left. And so I want to get into, you had a book with notes and you were laying out the different things that this president or puppet was doing in Haiti. And so if you could, I know we have 10 more minutes, sister. So if you could lay out, what he was doing.
Okay, very good. So Jovenel Moise was put into office by Michel Martelly with the help of they call themselves the CoreGroup. They're 9, they're nations like France, England, Spain, Germany, Brazil. And then they have these regional organizations like the European Union, the Organization of American States, and the United Nations. They come together to rule Haiti, but they rule Haiti through fake elections, just like they have fake charity, right? So they held fake elections. They put Martelly's consultant created person in there because Martelly intends to run for president in the next election, because he can't do consecutive, okay? So this guy was supposed to be his placeholder. But some of these black men, right? They got into power and he forgot he was supposed to be a pawn.
Right.
And he decided he apparently betrayed his patron. So there's a lot of people that could have killed this man, including this Sweet Mickey. Right? Allegedly, this is what happened. These guys are fighting each other. The United States has controlled the Haitian elections. They essentially have put the people to the side. It's like the United States. Only 20% of the people eligible to vote actually goes to vote in the United States. They can control that. But when Aristide, the popularly elected president, was elected, 97% of the people who were eligible to vote and had voting cards went to vote.
Wow.
But now this guy was voted by less than I think 17% people, whatever. It was less than 20%. Okay. And he only had 500,000 votes, and most of those were fake. But they had the Organization of American States come to Haiti and say, oh, these are perfectly good elections. So the Free Haiti movement has never recognized this man as a president. We always say de facto president. And then when he dissolved parliament, we called him a dictator because he ruled by decree. Ruling by decree since January 2020, he has created, like I was saying before, a secret agency. Apparently that spy agency didn't help him at all because he didn't know they were coming for him. He's made pedophilia legal, which means that, the NGOs, which are the non-for-profit organizations that come into Haiti and make money and say they're giving it to Haitians or building Haiti back better. Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Clinton raised altogether $13 billion to build Haiti back better. Remember, Biden was Obama's vice president. Remember that. They said they were going to build Haiti back better. So imagine my horror when Biden was running for office. You know what his campaign slogan was? He's gonna build back America better. I was like, didn't they see what he did in Haiti? We just had to laugh. Okay. Anyways, he dissolved parliament. He said he had one more year to in the presidency, even though his term had ended February 7th, 2021. The only reason he was in office is because the United States and his mercenaries were keeping him in office. And last night, February 7th, when he got murdered, the
July
guy,
the 7th, July the 7th, yesterday.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. July 7th, when he got murdered, people for the last, let's say, 2 months, he has these gangs. Now, who is running Haiti? Who are the oligarchs? The oligarchs are Middle Eastern. They're from Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. Sweet Mickey gave Israel a contract to be the security for Haiti's borders, land, air, and sea. Land, air, and sea. All weapons that are in Haiti comes from Israel. They're the Galil. I don't know half their names, okay? But those weapons that you see the Haitian gangbangers have, they come from Mossad. They come from CIA, and CIA gives it to these people. So in the last month, 18,000 Haitians have been forced out of their homes by these gangs. But really, a lot of it are, sometimes it's white men who put on Haitian police uniform and cover everything and go do their jobs because they want the shorelines in Haiti. Why? Because Haiti has more oil than Venezuela. The reason why they want Venezuela has the most oil in the Western Hemisphere in the world, right? They're rich. The United States has destroyed the oil capacity. That's why the gas here was so low, because they wanted to destroy Venezuela. Okay. They want to destroy Cuba. They've had an embargo on Cuba since Castro, right? 1963, Bay of Pigs. And then here comes Haiti trying to get rid of neocolonialism. Neocolonialism is when you have a black face ruling on behalf of empire. That was Toussaint Louverture's template. So not only did this guy, so today, who's going to run Haiti? The Constitution. So he not only did he want a 1 more year, but really what he wanted means the CoreGroup, the Western powers wanted. He just worked for them. But a lot of times what happens is that, they have so much power, they believe that they really are president. And somebody gave him a lesson on July 7th.
So let me ask you a question, and my dear sister, and we have about 2.5 minutes left. Do you feel like, I know that when John F. Kennedy was murdered and Malcolm X made a statement, he said it was chickens coming home to roost, right? Do you think that with the president, it would be fair to make that same statement, that these were chickens coming home to roost, given everything that you told me about him being a dictator, passing pedophilia, all of the different things that he did? Do you think this was chickens coming home to roost?
Absolutely. And I think that it was the members of the oligarchy, because they're the only ones that can hire these guys, professional, organized, with a plane and all those cars, and Haitians can't do it. I mean, the regular Haitian doesn't have that kind of money. So the people who took him out are the people who put him in. All right.
Hold on. Wait a minute, sister. Say that one more time. The people that I didn't quite hear you. The
people who took out the Haitian president are the same people who put him in. And now they're covering it all up, talking about, they've killed these mercenaries so that there is no scrutiny, right, as to who hired these people. Now they're supposed to be dead, and we're supposed to believe all that. So anyways, since the last month, there's been 18,000 people and it's because they give money to these starving Haitian gangs, and they federated them, and they want to control the elections. That's the most important thing right now. So Biden, when he just denounced this and said it was barbaric in terms of the murder, but he never said, we're going to go after and find out who these white men were. Never said that. We're saying, go find out who these white men were and who hired them. and stop saying Haitians are violent, because we're not the one that murdered this president. So he had what do you call that? He had fired the Supreme Court justices that could have taken his place according to the Constitution. If there's a vacancy, then the highest level of the Supreme Court gets to pick, and then they have a transitional government. What he did on February 7th was essentially fire the Supreme Court justice, who have lifetime appointments, or 10 years, I think. So what are we doing now? What's going on now? So now his prime minister was supposed to be replaced by another one. So now there's two prime ministers. They're each fighting for power. There's no parliament. The guy who was in parliament, he's now saying he should be the head of the government, because he's the head of the he was the head of the Senate. And under the Constitution, first you go to the Supreme Court if there's a vacancy during the term of the president. Then you go to the Senate. So now we know at least 3 people that are in IAT fighting to say they should be at that broken down palace that none of these Negroes have fixed since 2010 earthquake. I'm saying this to my people. Listen, Haitian, do not believe any of their stories. I need you all to let them fight it out, because we're about to change the system. Let them all fight it out. Let justice come. Thank you so much for having me. Go to me. I'm Zili Dantò. Take out the E, Zili Dantò on Instagram. And then I'm Èzili Dantò every place else, EziliDantò.com. I hope you guys, I hope this was productive for you.
Wait a minute. Honor and respect. Hold on, sis. I gotta drop a bomb for you, my sister. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. My sister, I learned a great deal from you tonight. And you let us listen to, literally, we were like Brother Sean said, we were backstage listening to you, you were speaking to CARICOM, only on Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Maat. And we got 90,000 people in the building. So I want to thank each and every one of you for just staying with us tonight. The sister dropped a lot of information. Look, I don't know if you can see their comments, but people are like, great show. They said, thank you, sister. They said, go IAT. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. They said it was just a beautiful, beautiful show. I see some of your people in here, Rodriguez, some of your folks in the building. And so, yes. I thank everybody. I thank everybody who came in and just hung with us. Cause typically my shows are about 45 to like an hour, but you were just going and I was just so locked in, sis. I couldn't let you go. I couldn't let you go.
Well, I appreciate your flexibility and letting me finish that interview.
Oh, that was important.
Thank you.
That was important. You had to do that. That was important.
Yeah,
so,
we needed to tell what the people, grassroots people want in IAT, because they're trying to use this to bring in more foreign troops.
Yeah. And so, sis, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I want to bring you back because I really want to talk about the mothers of the Haitian Revolution. So typically, when you talk about the Haitian Revolution, I know you pronounce it differently than me, but
that's fine.
Yeah, but when we talk about the Haitian Revolution, you hear about Toussaint, you hear about Bookman, you hear about Dessalines, but there were a lot of women, there were a lot of female warriors who fought and died, for liberation. We do hear about Queen Mother Toya because she was, she trained Dessalines, but other than that, you don't hear about the women. And so I would love to bring you back for us to have a discussion on the mothers of the Haitian Revolution. So my beloved sister, I will call you tomorrow. I'll try to get you because I know with you, it's like, you gotta.
Yeah. It would be great. Let a little time go by for a minute because I gotta really focus.
Okay. So I'll give you some time. And I'll reach out so we could do that.
We'll definitely, absolutely. I appreciate your, having us here, and I thank you. I'm going to be sending this out to everybody so that I don't have to say this again. about
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happened.
Yes, my beloved sister. So thank you so much for coming on, family. Join me back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have Baba Olatunji and Wambu coming on for part 2. The alphabet agenda. Is it a fact? Is it a fiction? And so we're going to lay out the agenda tomorrow, family. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.
Free
and Black
Haiti
power.
Movement, people. Come to the Free Haiti Movement page on Facebook. Join the conversation. Go to my Èzili Dantò page, because, I always do these interviews and then I'll put it on my page, but people just watch the live things more. So I want to build up that page. So
That's
please
right.
go do that for me.
Please do, family. Peace
Thank you.
and
Thank
Black
you.
power. No problem, my sister.
Merci.
Let's combat and fight back with maltracks. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classics. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maat.